If you spent any time looking at premium laptops over the last couple of years, you know that manufacturers have gone all in on a very specific kind of futurism. We've seen hidden trackpads, capacitive touch function rows, and laptops that completely sacrifice standard ports in the name of being as thin as a smartphone. And look, that tech is impressive, but for a lot of people who just want a highly reliable machine to get work done every single day, those ultra-futuristic designs can sometimes feel a little bit too much of a compromise. Dell recently restructured their lineup, and they just sent over the new 2026 Dell 16S. Positioned right beneath the flagship XPS line, this laptop is designed to be the sweet spot for everyday users, power users, and general productivity. They take heavy design cues from the premium XPS chassis, but they keep one foot firmly planted in practical usability. Today, we're going to take a quick look and break down the specifications of the Dell XPS 16S and talk about why this might actually be the most logical laptop choice for most people this year. Hey guys, it's Alex from Techaeris, and I'm back with another video. This time it's the Dell 16S. And there is also a 14S variant of this laptop. It is just a smaller screen, but pretty much the same. So as I talk about the 16S, all this information will also relate to the 14S. So like my last video, I'm not doing much of an unboxing here. In the box, you get the documentation and a relatively compact 65-watt USB-C power adapter. And the laptops themselves, you have the 14 and the 16-inch models. And it's finished in what Dell calls celestial blue. There's also a frost blue version available, but this color has a really nice subtle slate undertone that looks very professional, though it does pick up some fingerprints, just like the Dell XPS. The build quality here is excellent. Dell is using CNC machined recycled aluminum for the chassis, and the geometrical lines make it look incredibly closely related to the modern XPS series. It does feel rigid, premium, and dense, just like the XPS. Portability is a huge selling point here. The 14S comes in at just about 3.2 pounds, while this larger 16S tips the scales at 3.9 pounds, or roughly 1.77 kilograms. For a 16-inch machine, keeping it under 4 pounds while maintaining a thickness of only 15.3 millimeters is a solid engineering win. It balances comfortably in the hand and slides into standard backpacks with zero issues. Now let's talk ports. This is where the S series starts to separate itself from its more expensive XPS sibling. And honestly, it's a change that I think most everyday users are going to enjoy. If you look at the flagship XPS 16, Dell stripped away almost every traditional port, forcing you into the dongle life with those USB-C ports. This 16S, however, brings back common sense connectivity. On the left side, you get two Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports, an HDMI 2.1 port, as well as a USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port. Turning over to the right side, you get another USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, as well as the headphone jack. Having legacy Type A ports built right into a chassis this slim means you can still plug in a standard flash drive, an older mouse, or a desktop microphone without digging a USB hub out of your bag. It's a simple inclusion, but it makes daily productivity a lot smoother for a lot of users. Now let's turn our attention to the brilliant Tandem OLED display. While the base models come with a very respectable FHD Plus configuration, the star of this show of this 16S is the optional Tandem OLED display. The 16-inch model features a 2880 by 1800 resolution panel with a smooth 120Hz refresh rate and touch support. The XPS 16 also has a Tandem OLED display, and by stacking two independent OLED emission layers on top of each other, Dell has essentially solved historical brightness limitations of OLED notebooks. This panel pushes up to 400 nits of continuous SDR brightness and handles Dolby Vision content beautifully. The contrast is perfect because it's an OLED. When a pixel displays black, it simply turns off completely, giving you infinite contrast ratios. Colors over 100% of the DCI P3 color space, making it punchy and rich without looking artificially oversaturated. Whether you're working through a massive document, editing photos, or just streaming movies at night, this display is an absolute pleasure to work with. Now let's talk under the hood, the Intel Core Ultra Series 3. Both the 14S and 16S are configured with Intel's latest Core Ultra Series 3 processors, scaling all the way up to Core Ultra 9 386H. This is a 16-core, 16-thread chip built with an advanced architecture that focuses heavily on efficiency and device processing. The SKU I have here happens to have the Intel Core Ultra 7. The weight for the 14S is 3.2 pounds, and the Dell 16S is 3.9 pounds. The max processor you can get on both of them are Intel cores for 9 386H. For graphics, you get the Intel Arc B390, which is integrated, And memory options give you 16 gigs or 32 gigs of a LPDDR5X. And your storage options go from 512 up to a 2 terabyte SSD. And because these are certified Copilot Plus PCs, the built-in Neural Processing Unit, or NPU, clears that 40 TOPS threshold. That means it can handle localized AI tasks like live translators or simple image rendering right on the hardware without constantly sending your data up to the cloud server, which is a nice win for digital privacy. Memory is soldered on, and it's available, like I said, in 16 or 32 gigabit configurations, and storage ranges from a fast 512 up to 2 terabytes, and that is an NVMe SSD. Now let's talk keyboard and trackpad. Moving down to the deck, the typing experience itself is fantastic. The keys have a nice crisp tactile response with good travel, and there's a reliable backlight for working in low light. And this keyboard is actually going to please a lot more people than the XPS keyboard, which is a little bit strange, and some people are having a hard time getting used to that zero lattice keyboard. This is more of a traditional keyboard, and it functions that way, and I think more people are going to be more comfortable with this keyboard than the XPS keyboard. However, we do have to talk about the physical layout, because this highlights my single biggest con for this 16-inch model. Dell utilizes the extra chassis space on the 16S to include a full physical numeric pad. Now, if you're an accountant or someone who spends your entire day in putting numbers into a spreadsheet, you're probably celebrating. But because that number pad takes up space on the right, it shifts the primary keyboard and the trackpad over to the left to keep them aligned with the space bar. Personally, I really dislike offset layouts. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I prefer my typing experience and my trackpad to be completely centered with the display, just like they designed it on the smaller 14S model. Having your hand shifted slightly to one side takes some muscle memory adjustment, but it's important to remember that this is a specific user preference, and that's my preference. It doesn't make the laptop bad, it just means you need to know what style you prefer before buying. Let's move on to battery life and efficiency. One area where this laptop completely justifies its placement in the market is endurance. Both sizes are equipped with a 70 watt-hour battery, but because they are utilizing Intel's refined Series 3 architecture and Dell's optimized power management, the battery life numbers are impressive. Dell claims the 16S can hit up to 26 hours of continuous video streaming, or roughly 14 hours of typical everyday office productivity on a single charge. In early testing, those everyday numbers do feel very realistic, but we have to do a little more testing to kind of parse that out. It manages standby power incredibly well, meaning you can open the lid, do a few hours of work, close it, and pick up right where you left off the next day without watching your battery percentage plummet in the background. It gives you a true all-day endurance without needing to hunt for an outlet during a normal workday. So wrapping it up, what is the final verdict on the 2026 Dell 16S? The 16S starts right around $1,300, which positions it as a very competitive premium mid-range option. If you love the clean, modern aesthetic of the flagship XPS series, but you don't want to deal with that keyboard or with that haptic trackpad or a lack of USB-A ports and HDMI, this laptop is going to make a lot of sense to you. It gives you a fantastic real-world performance, incredible battery efficiency, a beautiful OLED screen option, and excellent materials without the hyper-premium price tag. Yes, the offset trackpad and numeric keypad on the 16-inch version trip up my personal layout preferences, but if that doesn't bother you, this is easily one of the most rounded everyday packages Dell has put out in a while. I will have a full written breakdown and review in the coming weeks. Make sure you stay tuned to Techaeris.com for that review. You can read my full review of the Lenovo Pro 9i Aura Edition Gen 11, which I did a video on a few weeks ago. That is already posted on the site, so make sure you hit the link below and read that review. In a few weeks, we'll have this review posted there as well. As always, guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you guys watching these videos. Thanks for sticking in with me. Make sure that you hit the like button, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, share this with your friends. Make sure that you do all these things because that really helps the algorithm and it helps us to get found. And all of those things are free. You don't have to pay a dime to do any of that, and it just helps me out immensely. So thanks so much for that. But most importantly, make sure, as always, that you take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will talk to you on the other side.